I have a dear friend who for the last month or so has been saying, "Oh God, I hate summer, can't wait for December and January." And I know that when December comes, she will say, "God, I can't wait for the summer. I hate this winter weather." I'm sure you know people like that. And I'm sure many of you are just like that. In the heat of St. Louis summer, during those nice days like we had for the last 2 or 3 weeks, when it's only 90 but feels like 190, we say to ourselves, "I can't wait for winter and snow." But when the snow comes, most of you, not me, but most of you will say, "Gosh, I wish it was summer again." Two statements that when you put them together make no sense. How can one person say, "I can't wait for the winter," and then he or she will say, "I can't wait for the summer"? It's either or, right? Now, if you are saying right, then you are clearly a very logical person. If you apply the rules of logic, it makes no sense whatsoever. You are either enjoying the summer and hating the winter, or enjoying the winter and hating the summer. But in real life, logic is not always applicable. Because when you are sweating like a pig, you are thinking about December. And when it's below 25 below zero, you are thinking about sweating like a pig. That's our human nature. Most of the times we make no sense, especially when you apply the rules of very clear-cut black and white logic. It's like those quotes from the Bible that when you put them together make no sense whatsoever. Today's gospel: "Unless you hate your mother and father, brother and sister, you cannot be my disciple." Jesus saying that? Unless you hate your mother and father, brother and sister? What's wrong with you, Jesus? A few chapters later, he will say, "You have been told, 'Thou shalt not kill,' but I tell you, if you think ill of someone, you commit murder." And then in the first letter of St. John, we read, "You know that when you hate your brother and sister, you are a murderer, and murderer has no place in the kingdom of God." So which one is it? Unless you hate your mother and father, you cannot be my disciple, or when you hate your mother and father, you cannot get to heaven. Two statements that when you put them together clearly make no sense. It's like trying to think about your friend who says, "I cannot wait for snow," and then she will say, "I cannot wait for summer." It makes no sense. Don't try to put them together, because you have to understand what he or she is saying in July. In July, it makes sense. And then in January, the next statement makes sense as well, right? But when you put them together, no, they don't. So, unless you hate your mother and father, brother and sister, you cannot be my disciple makes sense in a certain context. But in the other context, it is clearly against the teachings of Jesus. And so it does depend on the context. It depends on what Jesus meant to say, to whom he was saying those words, or even better, why did Luke make Jesus say these words? So why did St. Luke make Jesus say these strange words, unless you hate your mother and father, brother and sister, you cannot be my disciple? Perhaps Luke wanted the first Christians to grow up and decide once for all, you know what? You were born Jews, but now you are following Jesus, who is the Christ. So honor your mother, honor your father, it's all good, but now you are a new person. Or perhaps Luke was a realistic person and he knew that every teenager goes through "I hate you" stage. That every one of us, and don't lie to yourself, you too, and me as well, had gone through that stage when we thought, oh no, I know better than my mom and my dad. What does she know? She doesn't understand me. He has no idea what I'm going through. I will do things my way. And even though it makes your mother go gray very fast, it is a very healthy stage in developing your own personality, your own identity. Even though you drive your parents crazy, you have to go to that stage to become who you are meant to be. And I'm sorry to bring this bad news to all of you parents who have teenage children, but it is a necessary stage of life. You have to go to that rebellion stage. Very few of us, there are some exceptions, but very few of us grow up to be healthy adults without questioning and rebelling against everything our parents held sacred. And perhaps one has to do that when it comes to his or her life of faith as well. When I went to seminary for the first 2 years of my novitiate, every day I did a meditation based on the reflections of a Jesuit priest, Father Anthony de Mello, who was from India, who was a Jesuit priest. And in his practice, he tried to combine Christian theology with Buddhist philosophy and meditation style. In one of his spiritual exercises, Father de Mello said, try to imagine your life as a house, as a building made of bricks. And he says, your life is like this house. It has been built for you. It has been constructed for you by your family, by your society, by the country where you were born, by the religion that was imposed on you, by the social structures all around you. That house in which you live has been given to you. And if you want to be a healthy Christian, an adult human being, you have to deconstruct entire building. You have to take apart brick after brick until they are all at ground level. Without that deconstruction process, you will never live your own life. You will live the life of your family, of the society, of the country, of the religion that was given to you, but it will not be yours. And once you deconstruct that building brick after brick, Father de Mello says, you have to reconstruct, put those bricks together in your own way, build your own life, put that building up again, using most probably the same bricks. Put those bricks together and design your own home. Reconstruct what you put apart beforehand. 99 out of 100 cases, you will build something almost identical that you did deconstruct. But this time it will be yours. This time around you will be able to say, I built up my life. I chose those bricks to be laid down this way. I made these decisions myself. I constructed my life. And it is truly mine. Maybe that's what Jesus meant when he said, unless you hate your mother and father, brother and sister, you cannot be my disciple. Maybe we need this deconstruction and reconstruction process to be truly who God calls us to be. Maybe we need to take apart what our family has given us, what our country, what our church has given us, and made it up again, this time by our own. And most probably we will end up with something very, very similar. But it will be your own life, your own home. The same, of course, applies to our religious life. People, especially Catholics, stay Catholics because they've been born Catholics, raised Catholics, brainwashed Catholics, and they will die Catholics. But unless you deconstruct and reconstruct your Catholicism, you are only a tenant, not an owner of your faith. You are only using a space that is not yours. You are not owning your own faith. You have to put your faith apart, brick by brick, and then construct it together once again in your own way. You have to reject everything that your mother and father, brother and sister, your pastor and the teacher of PSR taught you in order to build it up and make it your own church, your own faith. Naturally, You all have read all the newspapers and have watched TV news and radio reports on us supposedly becoming Episcopalian this last week. Funny story, yesterday Huffington Post had this story on. So thanks to Tim Townsend, we are going national once again. And as I always say, there is no such thing as bad publicity. No, we would never be able to pay for all the time and space in the papers, on TV and the radio. We can't afford to buy these ads, but they run them for us for free. Amazing. We should do something like that once a month. It's a free advertisement. But joking aside, it is true that we are in a process of deconstructing our faith and reconstructing it again, anew. And we don't know what we will end up with. Perhaps it will be with the Episcopal Church, perhaps it will be with the Polish National Catholic Church. At this point, it's much too early to say what our new home will look like. But no matter which church's organization we will end up with, we need to be fully aware that we will remain Polish Catholic Church. Even if, hypothetically speaking, following all the news statements, even if you, and it will be you who make the final call, even if you decide to go and enter into union with the Episcopal Diocese, you will be entering into union with them not as Episcopal parish, but as Polish Catholic parish. And there is a big difference. We would be in union with them, but we would not become an Episcopal parish. To give you a comparison, you know St. Raymond Lebanese Church down there on 12th Street? On Wednesdays they serve good food. And if you go and visit them, their name says St. Raymond's Lebanese Church, right? American Lebanese Church, Maronite. So they are a Maronite church, they are a Lebanese church. But at the same time, they are in full communion with the Roman Catholic Church. They haven't become Roman Catholic. They have kept their Maronite and Lebanese traditions, including food and booze. But at the same time, they are together with the Roman Catholic Church. So, using St. Raymond's as comparison, if we decide to go this or that path, we would become a Polish Catholic parish without changing anything in our church. No food, no mass changes, no chapel changes. Everything would remain the same. But we would be in union with this or that bigger church. So there is a big difference between saying we would become Polish National Catholic Church. No. We would be in union with them. We would not take upon ourselves new way of saying Mass. We would not change the hymnals because they are too expensive to change. We would not change the missals. We would not change the organist neither. Nothing would change in the way we exist and pray and run our parish, but we would gain a bishop and a diocese. And at this point, it's much too early to say which bishop or which diocese. But this deconstructing and reconstructing part is a necessary part if you want to call yourself an adult Catholic. Because otherwise, you are still that 9-year-old brainwashed Catholic schoolgirl or altar boy who is Catholic because his mother told him that he is Catholic. When somebody asks you, why are you Catholic? You need to know the answer to why. Because I chose to be Catholic. And I choose to be Catholic that way because I put the bricks of my faith myself. And it is my faith, and it is my church.